Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful tuning. As many of you know, I am a transcriber. I'm a professional transcriber. It's what I do for a living. And a lot of that is, like book work or magazine work. But a significant portion of it is just private individuals like yourself watching this. There's a song that you've always wanted to learn. So you'll send me an email saying, "Hey, Levi, could you transcribe this for me?" And I'm always more than happy to do stuff like that, especially when something like this comes along. So somebody emailed me recently and wanted me to transcribe a Pat Metheny piece called Make Peace. Now, it's an absolutely beautiful piece of music, and I listened to it and immediately was like, okay, I know that he's not playing a six string in standard tuning, because 10 seconds into the tune you can hear a very low note. So I thought to myself, well, I don't really think of Pat Metheny as being the kind of guy that plays a seven string. So I reached out to my good friend Martin Miller and asked him, because he's a massive Pat Metheny fan. And in doing that, I actually remembered that I own a Pat Metheny record called One Quiet Night. Now, on One Quiet Night, Pat is playing a baritone guitar. So that immediately told me, okay, from time to time, Pat has been known to play a baritone guitar. That would make sense. It would make sense that he's playing this on a baritone because we have a low B. But then the more I listened to the recording, the more I could hear these repeating notes happening over and over again. And they were clearly open strings. And those notes were A and D. And it's like they were there in almost every single chord that was played. So I put in my research, and that's what this really comes down to. Being a transcriber often means putting in a lot of research to understand how somebody plays something. And the more I looked into it, Pat has this wonderfully weird tuning that some people refer to as a sort of half Nashville tuning. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Nashville tuning, the idea of that is very simple. You're essentially taking the higher strings on a 12-string guitar and tuning your guitar to that. So you'd still have E, A, D, G, B, and E, but your low 3 strings are up an octave, your low 4 strings are up an octave. This means that when you play on a guitar like that and strum, it's giving you a faux 12-string sound. So you, without owning a 12-string, you could play an acoustic guitar part and strum it on a regular tuned guitar, strum it on a Nashville tuned guitar, and you're getting an almost 12-string type sound. So that in itself, very common studio trick. What it seems that Pat is doing is he tunes his baritone guitar to baritone tuning, which is down a fourth. Actually, more often than not, he tends to tune his down a fifth, so the low string is A. But for argument's sake, for this particular recording, Make Peace, I believe he's playing in B. So the concept is very simple. We're just taking our baritone guitar. Simple, easy. Low note is a B, as you would expect. And not very in tune B. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we're tuning a fourth higher than that, so B, C, D, E. And then from there, we're tuning a fourth higher than that, E, F, G, A. Now, I can't play this note because we're not actually tuned to that, but you'll see why in a second. The next note on a baritone would be an A string. Again, we take our A string, we move up a fourth, A, B, C, D. The next note would be tuned to a D. Then, between the next two strings, of course, as with standard tuned guitar, we have a third relationship between those. So from D, we move up a third, you get to F sharp. So the next string will be tuned to F sharp. And then your final string, the high string, will also be tuned a fourth higher, it will be tuned to B. So that's your your 6-string baritone tuning. B, E, A, D, F sharp, B. Cool. Now what Pat does is he takes that tuning, but he switches these two middle strings and puts those up an octave. So we still have the same notes, but if you listen to these one at a time, it's a really, really weird tuning, right? But when you think about it, what this allows us to do is we can play any of the chord voicings that we would normally play, but now any notes that you're playing on those middle two strings are now going to be shifted up an octave. So we can take something really vanilla, like a closed-voiced major major 7 chord, and I can't play what it would normally sound like, but now it's going to sound like this. And now any chords that we would play, everything sounds a little bit more beautiful, right? Because now all of these vanilla voicings sound a little bit more magical. That's just triad playing, but I'm just switching things around a little bit. By the nature of these strings being tuned an octave higher. So you get these wonderful sounding chords. Now, to bring it in line with the song Make Peace, in essence, most of the song simply takes notes that are on the, I'm going to say the 5th string and the 2nd string. We're playing these chord voicings on that 5th and 2nd string, all these double stop type things. You could also use the low string. Anything like that. And then with the those middle 2 strings, if we leave those ringing out through the chords, you get these wonderful really lovely sounding chords, right? And it's just the magic of the tuning. Now, I would recommend you check out some of Pat playing using this tuning. If you just search Pat Metheny Baritone, you're going to find a lot of recordings and lots of videos of him playing in this tuning. And everything just sounds really wonderful. And the magic thing to me is that none of it is about the technique. None of the tuning really matters. In fact, if you look in the comments of these, very few people mention the tuning, and those that do often actually even get it wrong. And that's very interesting, right? Because it's not about the technique. It's not about the tuning. It's about the music. Everything's about the music. So the tuning serves the music rather than using the music as a vehicle to show off your technique. I'm just showing this to you now because it's a creative tool. It's a really wonderful creative tool. Now, I know what you're thinking, Levi, how the hell am I going to tune my guitar to that? What I did is I took my Sir Telecaster. I got a set of, I think it was 12s, the only ball mammoth slinkies. 12s, yeah, it sounds about right. Might even be 13s. And I strung it as you would expect. I took the heaviest string and I put it on the bottom and tuned it to B. I took the next heaviest string, put it on the next string space, and tuned it to E. And then from there, I took the 2 highest strings from the set and put them in the middle, and then took the middle 3 strings and put them on the top. Tension-wise, this isn't perfect. And some of the strings are so thick that they're really sitting on the nut rather than in the nut, which is why some of the notes on the low string are a little bit out of tune. The intonation's a little bit out. This isn't a tuning I intend to keep this guitar on in for all time. It's just to get this transcription done for somebody. But it's totally something that you can mess around with, totally something that you can play with. And yeah, I think these chord voicings are really, really nice. Allows you to get these low notes. So there you have it, guys. Pat Metheny's baritone half Nashville tuning. Really, really interesting tuning. What do you think? Is it something that you think you could experiment with? What do you think about Pat Metheny in general? Let me know in that comment section below. Lastly, I just want to say a huge thank you to my supporters over on Patreon. You keep videos like this coming, especially in these trying COVID-19 times. So thanks so much for sticking with me. And an extra special thanks to Chris Motes, who is still currently a top tier patron. Thanks very much, buddy. Really appreciate it. If you would like to check out some of my writing work, please do head on over to Amazon and have a look for Levi Clay. I have lots of books available. You'll probably find something that you enjoy. Yes. Cool. So if you did enjoy that, please do click up here to check me out on Patreon. Click down here to subscribe, and you can find 2 more of my videos here and here. Any questions, please do reach out and let me know, guys. I'm always here reading comments, and I'm happy to help you achieve your goals. Much love, and I'll see you for another video soon. Goodbye.